won't you just? Now won't you just? So come on.
We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45. So won't you take a ride?
Just come on.
With me, baby. We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's up, world? It is 45 Live Podcast. I am your host, J-45, Mr. Key to the City, everything pretty. The host of the Gulf Coast, the Alabama hippie east of the muddy Mississippi. We right here, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Got my co-host, Bama Rose, in the building.
Hey, y'all.
And we got our guest today, Veto Resurrected.
What's good?
In the building, man. You know what I'm saying? It is the white flag movement, cease fire in the hood, man. We're going to get into it with him. But first, it's Breast Cancer Month. And also, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And, we got the Purple and the Pink going on. Got the merch going on, you know what I'm saying, for the ladies. Hey, it's the last week of it, of October. So, you know what I'm saying, you want to grab you some Miss 45 merch, hit me up. Also got merch for the men, J-45 Empire. Then, I got the Trucker Hats, 45 Live. Trucker has $20, everything, 22 for 35. I'll work with you, know what I'm saying? Just, you support the movement, man. 45 Live Podcast. Keeping it real and mobile on the People's Platform. We in the building, man, with Alabama Hip-Hop-Radio, brought to you by Dirty Dan. Shout out to October, Punkin. I hope I don't forget her name, Snoop, Hackett, DJ October, everybody, man, you know what I'm saying? It's much love going on right here. Ray, the Gemini, Crook, you know what I'm saying? We in here. But we finna get the show started, man. Today we talking about conflict resolution, youth violence, the solution to it, and also the white flag movement, ceasefire in the hood. CEO Veto Resurrected, he's gonna be talking about that. Thank y'all again for tuning in, man. Thank you, Veto, man, for coming through, brother. It's been a long time coming, my brother.
Ain't no doubt, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate the invite,
Yeah, what I want to know is what made you come up with the name White Flag Movement and Ceasefire in the Hood? Because I know you started this 9 years ago, and you just had a anniversary thing at the park over there on Duval Street, and it was real nice, man. Just tell everybody how you came up with the White Flag Movement, Ceasefire in the Hood.
Oh man, it's a wild one, man. Actually, I came up with the name, but I didn't come up with the name. If you could understand that.
You was inspired probably by somebody.
By God.
Absolutely, that's a good answer.
By God, man, I've been through so much in our communities. I've been through so much. I was a part of the problem at one time, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. But I feel God wanted me to be a part of the solution too. Is the reason why I wasn't snubbed away from this world. You know what I mean? Like I didn't die to gun violence in the community when I played a major role in a lot of the problems that were in our community. You know what I mean? I was keeping up the hype, keeping up the stereotypes by the way I was living. I conformed to my community. I was a product of my environment. Right. When they say become a product of your environment, I was actually, honestly, a product of my environment because the way I ended up, it wasn't how I was raised. And I made a vow to God when I was in prison 11 years ago, and he delivered on his end. But in the process of the vow I made, I told him I was a willing vessel to use me as he pleased, whenever, wherever, however. If I had to talk to the lion, tigers, and bears, so be it. You get what I'm saying? And God delivered on his end, and a couple years later, I was out in the Pritchard area painting some apartments, and there was a young guy that I had been talking to, and I could tell I was inspiring him to do better, to try to be better. Just because I only started 9 years with the white flag, I started a positive movement before I found my assignment in the white flag movement. But I had been talking to the young brother, and I could tell he was a wild one. He reminded me of myself before I changed. And of course, I'm from Orange Grove, and I was in Pritchard, so it's not about just the people of my community, my direct community. It was communities all over the city that I'm concerned with. And one day I came back around there to finish painting up at the apartments, and I noticed when I pulled up, it was a bunch of teddy bears and signs out on the street. And if you're from outside of town, urban communities, you could kind of understand when you see a bunch of teddy bears around the pole, you automatically know that someone has died. You know, whether it had been an accident, because they do it for car accidents. People put teddy bears and memorials up for those people. When it's gun violence, most definitely, a lot of times you see those signs out there. And I saw the sign, so it was like, what happened around here? I wonder who died. Right. And I continued on with my day. I'm painting, and then I saw a few of the neighbors from that area, and I asked them, like, where my little buddy at? And they were like, he got killed yesterday. Whoa. It rocked me like it was somebody I really had known for years. It hurt me that he died, because it was like, I had just got a hold to him. I just extended that life raft to him, and he accepted it. He embraced it. And not many of our youth embrace that type of conversation that I was delivering for him. And he was always saying, like, I don't have anyone around here that talk like this. Don't nobody never say this stuff to me. And so he wanted more of it. People always tend to say they don't want to listen, but these young people really want somebody to talk to them and give them something of substance, to show them where to go, how to get there. And when I realized it was him, it rocked me for a second, and I was like, you know what? An out-of-body experience took place at that moment. And like I said, I was painting, but somehow I ended up with a shovel, and I dug a hole in the ground, I put a stick in that hole, and I tied a white rag around it. And I said, I started a video. I actually have footage of that moment. And it was an out-of-body experience. You'll see me in that video. And of course, it doesn't seem out of body, because you're looking at physical manifestation of things that are transpiring. But for me, in that moment, I was actually looking at myself from outside of myself. And it was like I was hot. And I just went forward. And like I had to go back to look at the video to realize what I said, what happened, and what went on, because it just like I didn't get it. But I knew God had came into me and called on that debt he had for me.
That's powerful, bro.
And from that moment forward, I've been moving with the White Flag Movement, Ceasefire in the Hood, and going into different communities, talking to the guys that I feel are just like myself, that stand out on the block, and they could be out here. They could be the drug dealers. They could be the shooters. They may not be those guys as well, but I try to connect with them, reach out to them, pass them those white flags, and give them inspiration.
The painter's rag.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what it turned into. It turned into more than just a clean up rag, a painter's rag. It's cleaning up, the issues that are plaguing our community. Right. Right. So, and that's what it's been from that point on. It's just 10 toes down. I understood that it was my assignment from God, and I refused to turn my back on it.
Man, we sure appreciate that movement, man. Today's show is dedicated to a good friend of mine who I went to school with, Bobby Knight. You know what I'm saying? Condolences gone to the family. He happened a few weeks ago. Man, we are, it messed the whole community up, you know what I'm saying? So this show is dedicated to Bobby Knight and all the people that are victims of senseless violence in the communities all around the world, man. We got to love each other. We got to know what peace is, and we got to know what conflict resolution is, you know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, your life and how you, you got into a little trouble, then, to the point you became an employee of the city of Mobile.
That's crazy, man. A lot of people don't know, and I don't take to saying it a lot, but. And from talking to me, people be like, I wouldn't have never knew that. I was kicked out of school in the 8th grade. Public schools kicked me out. I went back for a second time. My mom, she tried to enroll me in night school. Got kicked out of there for fighting some guys on the football team that was up there during the night.
Football team. What school it was at?
It was at Murphy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 1997, man. No, actually, yeah, 96. Going into 97, you know, I went to Murphy Night School, and I got kicked out there jumping on some football players.
8th grade?
Yeah, I was kicked out of school in the 8th grade, trying to get back in school through night school.
And you had to go to the Murphy
And I
for
went
night
to
school.
Murphy High School for night school.
And you fighting football.
I jumped on some football players. So from there, my mom tried to enroll me into a second chance school, which was Cedar Grove Preparatory School out in Pritchard.
Yeah, my daddy went to Cedar Grove.
And lo and behold,
he was a
I got
beast.
kicked out of there. Mom was upset.
Cedar Grove.
Man, I got kicked out of Cedar Grove.
Boy,
man.
look at what CLC was next.
Nah, hey, that would have been an option. It was a choice. That could have been a choice, but nah, man, I wish it would have been CLC. I actually got charged as an adult when I was 16 years old. I had a robbery first.
Oh.
It's horrible.
And so at that point, I didn't know the effects me getting that felony was gonna have on my life going forward. But I stayed in the county jail for 2 years and 17 days. I ended up getting a 10 split 2-year sentence and was placed on 5 years probation. But you know, we know when you're between the ages of 16 and 18, most kids are in what, 10, 11, 12th grade. Those are your most impressionable moments and years where you're trying to figure out which way I'm gonna go in life. And you're like a sponge. You're absorbing all kinds of information and knowledge, and that's what ends up becoming the foundation or source of the next phase and chapter of your life. And from 16 to 18, with me being charged with a violent crime, they put me in the part of the jail where all of the violent criminals were. So you got to take in consideration, I'm in here with all of the worst people from the city of Mobile at 16 years old.
It's horrible.
And it wasn't a youth wedge or the youth part of the jail like they have now. They have a teenage wedge or the areas where they can separate you. And
They didn't have
down.
it then.
They didn't have that. They had the misdemeanor part. They had what is
The
just
felonies.
and then they had violent offenders.
Yeah.
And I was with the violent offenders.
Because it was an armed robbery.
It was an armed robbery.
But you ain't kill nobody.
Nah, ain't nothing even got taken.
That's horrible.
Oh,
But that's still a
and
Class
that's
A felony, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So in between 16 to 18, my information and the way I learned about life in the direction it turned me, it wasn't for the good per se, you know, but thank God I had a praying mom and grandma in my corner that constantly sent me prayers to read, scriptures to read in the mail, or when I would be on the phone with them, they would tell me, hey, go to this scripture, go to that scripture. And by me always learning to go to the Bible for information, that was my source of learning. So I turned to the Bible in my idle time. When I was locked up as a youth, I would read the Bible. And I saw in the back of the Bible, it had that context where if you were feeling a certain way, it would tell you where to go in the Bible. So if I was feeling sad, I go in the back of the Bible and I look at sad and all the scriptures that tell you to read for sad, and I would read all of those scriptures, so it would have me all over the Bible. If I was happy, I would go in the back of the Bible and I would find scriptures for happiness. You know, what brings this in the spiritual aspect and what God says about this.
That's some good inspiration. That's a good
And
inspiration to, you know what I'm saying, to, yeah, go ahead.
Right, and so that was my learning tool, and I was a prayer. I prayed. So throughout my prayer and throughout me educating myself from the Bible, God also sent different people in my path. I didn't only just because I was in the area where it was all violent offenders. Some of those were actually good people.
They just made a mistake.
They made bad decisions. They made bad decisions. So
we just human.
Right. They made bad decisions, just like I had made a bad decision that morning. You get what I'm saying?
And it cost
Peer
you
pressure.
almost your life.
It was peer pressure. I got upset, you know, and I'm heavy on telling parents to be mindful and careful of the direction you send your kids when they're upset and you're upset. You get what I'm saying? Because it was a matter of making a better decision with the care of a child that morning that could have changed the dynamics of the direction I went, right? 16 years old, what do I know for real?
And let me ask you this real quick. That'll cut you out. Do you feel like you came from a broken home?
No, far from it. Far from it. It was a little divided at points, because it was what's the word? Unevenly yoked. My mom was in the church. My stepfather was far from the church.
It kind of sounds like my pops. I mean, my mom would go to church faithfully every week. My dad, he wouldn't.
Right, and so it was like night and day, the difference in what my mom was bringing to the table versus what my stepdad was bringing to the table, and how I perceived it. It was my perception of things. You know, and that's what we have to keep in consideration as well with the children. Their perception of what's playing out. You know, we may perceive it one way and they're perceiving it in their own way, and we have to be guardian over them and their emotions and thoughts. Being the older person, the more experienced and learned person, we have to be, you know, careful with how we deal with our youth. We got to remember, we were 16 once before.
Absolutely.
And we had different feelings and emotions that we were triggered off of. You know, when I was 19, I was quicker to jump off and get upset and argue and fight with somebody behind words. Today, words are not going to trigger me to fight. So if I encounter a young man that's 19, 18, 20, and he's ready to fight behind words, I understand. Understanding. You carry understanding for the next person with you off of their perceptions. I mean, because you may not act this way because of something doesn't say the next person won't or shouldn't. You can't say it's justified in their actions, but I can understand their actions. Why he did this. You get what I'm saying? You can't not understand in order to be able to resolve conflicts, to be able to come to the table and get a common ground, mutual agreement on resolving the conflict without understanding. Understanding is the core essence of any conflict. Without understanding, you are not going to resolve anything. So we have to understand our kids and why they react and move the way they do. What's the perception that's being transferred to them? What's their relay? You know, I can take somebody talking crazy to me now. I used to couldn't. You can, right? You might say, man, it would be understandable though.
Conflict resolution.
It would be understandable. I get it. Don't talk crazy to me. Don't come over here getting. I ain't gonna do it to you.
Man, I have supervisors talk to me crying, I had to pray and bite my tongue. Cause I be wanting to say something.
And that's good that you're able to do that. But for somebody who can't do that, I understand. But you got to think with logic. Okay, you can snap. You got a choice.
Use logic.
Logic. We have to always use logic. You know, that's what they say. They say women tend to react off emotion, and men are more logical. That's not saying women don't have. That's not saying women don't have logic and can't react in with logic, but they tend more to lean towards the emotions. But now in our today's society, men are leaning on the emotions more, and that's what we're dealing with: emotional creatures in these men. They're more emotional.
It's systematically done.
It's systematically done. True. It is, but at the same time, it's it's accountability that has to be placed somewhere. Even with the systematic design, we still have a moral and obligation to our community, to our children. That's what a part of today is. That's what the conflict resolution, that's what the white flag movement symbolizes: taking accountability, taking responsibility for the actions and things that's going on, not only within our community, but within our city. As men, knowing that we have a problem. We can sit up and we can talk about the problem, but I tend to be solution-based thinking now. I try to tend more to the solution. Okay, I see the problem. I can't continue to focus and address the problem from the problem standpoint. I got to address that problem with the solution.
That's another good term you use, solution.
Right.
So we through with excuses. We want solutions.
We got to come with solutions.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Solution is the way going forward. if I allow the problem, well, we got this problem, and we got that problem, and we got this problem, I'm stuck right here talking about the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So once I start thinking about the solution, I get to
No
move.
talking. It's
I start moving inside a solution.
actions,
Actions
verbs.
pick up, right. Solution, I'm trying to figure out. I'm thinking, I'm coming up with different ideas. My mind is opening up. I'm connecting with other people. I'm telling them what my vision is. They're sharing their vision with me. I'm trying to put that together and come up with a collective thought pattern to be able to go forward.
In solidarity.
Right. You know, you see what's going on from your perception and from your angle, and you come to the table and you say, hey, well, look, I think we need to try to do this. If we can get into the schools, then I feel we can make an impact with your conflict resolution program. Okay, cool, good idea. You may come and say, hey, I want to take it over here to these people in these businesses over here because I see it tends to be high elevation of issues keep coming up over here, and we can deal with them with critical thinking skills. Right, to resolve their issues and problems to navigate through their workspace. And we can get over here in whatever other areas. So we keep implementing different programs, and we're putting down different plans and goals and our visions in different areas because it's going to take so much. It's not one problem, it's many problems. So we're going to have many solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you say you did your time. How many years did you have to do?
On that bid, I actually did 2 years and 17 days. When I was 16, I did 2 years and 17 days. Got out on 5 years probation. Got jammed up and caught up in a high-profile situation. I actually was on the FBI files before they got this fugitive files. So I was on the run for a couple years in Ohio, and I got in a little trouble up there. Actually, I went to prison for like 6 months. In Euclid, when I was living in Euclid, Ohio,
How old were you
by
then?
Cleveland. I was right at about 21 years old,
Okay.
and so I ended up going to prison in Ohio, and I came back home as a fugitive because once I got out of prison up there, I was supposed to have been going through the extradition procedure, but that didn't happen. Like I was sweating bullets that morning, like, oh, Alabama gonna be out here to get me. They gonna be out here to get me. And supposed to be expediting me back. You know, I had a hold on me the whole time. Fugitive from justice was one of my charges. So that morning they called my name and I got dressed out to go home. So I was looking and I saw it was like 4 other guys that were getting out that morning with me. 2 of them were being extradited. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I'm finna go over there with them, or I'm looking for who coming to extradite me. And when the time hit for them to release me, they let me go. I ran to the Greyhound bus station.
No, you did.
And it was, you wouldn't believe what all I went through to try to make it on home from that point. But I did get back to Mobile.
I was free.
The next day I came on home, even being a fugitive, because it was like I need to get back, to my home base. I needed to touch back down on Mobile soil. And so I couldn't wait to get home. And once I did, I made it about 3 years before I was caught for the fugitive charges, and I actually ended up having to back up the 5 years probation that I had, which made me have to do like 2 years, 4 months, and like 7 days to EOS that sentence, and I did that time. And when I got out of prison, it was like life wasn't the same with the felonies that I had accumulated. So I couldn't get a job, and I returned back to the streets. I started back trapping, hustling, getting money.
And see, not to cut you off, that's the trap right there. When they lock you up for a felony, you can't come out here and get jobs to the point. You got to go back to doing what you were doing to get you in there, motherfucker, to survive out here.
Right.
It's systematically done. It's the slave patrol mentality that I've been telling y'all about. Because, the state of Alabama is being sued by former inmates because they got them working at fast food restaurants, go to corral for hours and hours for pennies an hour.
Right.
So it's deliberately done. But go back to your story.
Right, and that's pretty much what it was. It was getting shifted here and there, and I'm tired. I'm not finna go through this. So I picked up the sack, and it was good. I had made a reputation for myself throughout the city where it was like, okay, it was so many dudes trying to just throw these sacks on me. But they knew not only was I loyal, I ain't gonna tell
they loved your work ethic.
I ain't gonna tell nothing, but they knew one nothing finna get to. See, that's the problem with a lot of these
Integrity.
guys out here in the street. They get the sack and then they get robbed, or they say they ain't got robbed, and they knew that.
Ain't no integrity.
We ain't got to worry about him coming back to me. He got robbed. Ain't nobody finna go try it. Nobody ain't finna play with him because of how I was. I wasn't the worst person out here, but I was a monster. Right. I mean, as far as for my who I stood for as a proud dude. Right. Street nigga. Street nigga, that's what it was, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Real
Just keep
street
it real.
They knew not to complain.
That's what I was, a real street nigga. And I lived by the street rules, the street codes. I stood on that. And I knew that was going to eventually get me killed or get me that life sentence that them people tried to give me on the back end. And once I realized that and stopped being selfish, did you hear me? Stop being selfish with my life, knowing that it was affecting my mom the way it was affecting her.
My other family members.
And my son.
But her number one.
Mainly. That overall, my mother.
The queen.
Right. You know, I do anything I can in my power to make her happy, to see her happy, to make her proud. It gives me so much joy to make my mama proud, you know, so it's like, okay, why you keep doing this and that and that and that, you know, well, it's circumstances. This is circumstantial why I'm doing this, why I'm living like this. I'm not trying to live like this. I wasn't in the streets for the fame and the glory, none of that. No, I was trying to survive. It was a means of survival for me. And this is what was working right now in my environment. For what my environment has to offer coming up in Orange Grove, like we got predators out here.
I know that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you gon'
and that's what they made.
You gonna eat or starve. You get what I'm saying? You gon' punk or get punked.
Self-preservation.
You gonna chomp or get chomped. You get what I'm saying? It's gonna be one or the other. They gonna play on you or you gonna play on them. Or you gonna stand in that middle where it ain't gonna happen. You ain't gonna play on nobody. Ain't nobody gonna play on you.
Survival of the fittest.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's why I treaded down that middle. I ain't gonna play on nobody. Nobody gonna play on me. But when things got crazy, I was on one. You know, I was doing things that could get these kids dying not for nothing.
What you saying?
These young people that we're seeing dying today out here in gun violence and for their issues and reasons that they're killing each other.
It's senseless.
It's senseless. I thank God that some of my peers and the people that I grew up with and some of the people I offended didn't take my life. I thank them. I thank God for that. You know,
God
because I gave different people reasons to come back and do me harm, and the way they moving now, do my family harm because they shooting up your house and killing your grandmama, your children, your wife, you know, your brother, your sister. It doesn't matter.
Whoever they can touch that gonna hurt you, they gonna do.
They gonna touch
you know what I'm saying? So, even with what's the rapper name? Brazen, his grandparents. That was a sad situation.
Right,
you know
and I didn't want to continue to put my family at risk, and just to back up just a second, and I ain't gonna stay over there. Actually, it almost went down that way. Like I said, when I went on the run to Ohio, I wasn't just running on the run from the police. I had some stuff going on where it was
somebody had a price on my head.
They ain't had a price on my head because it wasn't that type. But they had reasons to want to do me something. You know what I'm saying? And they were real mad, and I understood what I was in.
So basically, God was protecting you.
Yeah, he was, and he gave me a mind to know to get away from this city.
You was obedient.
I was obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And so I knew to go ahead and leave because I was in shootouts with the guys that were offended. They were coming through my neighborhood and was ready for it. You get what I'm saying? For you to come up in the grove after me, you got to be on some killer demon time and somebody that don't really care because you know how I'm moving and you know why you coming from what I done did. So with that being said, I watched a lot of my friends that were from my neighborhood turn their tails on me. Like they see me coming and they didn't stay on the block and make sure they were strapped. They left the block. So these my friends, these my homeboys, you done dipped on me, and then next thing you know, and I understand now.
Yeah.
Hey, you supposed to live
I'm
home.
trying to tell
Yeah.
you.
You supposed to live, man. The
It's
folks
your
that came and shot the block up, man. As soon as you walked off, you know, I'm out here and all kind of crazy stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? And one day it came close. I saw them ride, some of them guys riding by, and my mom and my grandma was getting out of the coffin and going into my grandma's apartment. And it was like, whoa, that was close. If they would have spotted me,
It was over.
and they would have got active and got loose at me while my mom and my grandma was out there, who knows how that would have turned out. So right then I made a conscious decision, you know what, man, let me get up out of here before this touched my family, and it ain't gonna be, you can't come back from that.
Can't come back from it.
You know.
It can only get worse.
Right.
Yeah, so okay, so when you was 21 you got into that little trouble. So did you get into trouble after then?
Man.
We want to know the whole history.
Man.
I'll wait till you
actually,
being with
okay,
the city
well,
mobile.
I'm going to say it like this. It was a blessing that the city gave me the opportunity, because before the city gave me this opportunity, I couldn't get a job nowhere in this city because of my background. I'm a 4-time convicted felon.
4-time.
Yeah, I'm a 4-time convicted felon, and it wasn't actually 4 different times, because one of those charges, and this is something that people need to know, like you could catch 2 felonies at one time, and it would still register as 2 charges. 2 felonies. You got 2 new felonies. You get a possession of marijuana, possession of cocaine, and a theft. That
Those
Don't
are
they have
different charges.
the 3 charges and they put you for life?
well,
You 3
well,
strikes.
it used to be they used to have that 3-strike law.
So they did away
and
with
so,
that.
but yeah, they got a point system now.
Okay.
But see, I was right there at that border with the 3-strike, and that was the reason why they were trying to give me as much time as they tried to give me. My last bid I did, they were trying to hang me, and with the time that they were offering. But I didn't take that time. I didn't end up with that time. But it was more so because of my prior convictions that I was facing the amount of time that I was facing. It wasn't because of the actual crime I committed that time. It was more so because, okay, you got a reputation in the history that then built up, and we finna put you somewhere. We finna do something with you. We gonna show you. And so what they had for me was, you know, offered me 30 years and a life sentence. You get what I'm saying? And I turned to God, like I said, in that dark hour. I turned to Him and I prayed. I cried out. I wrote a letter first, instead of taking time to write a letter to a girlfriend or my mom or somebody that particular night. I headed that letter, Dear God. And I wrote a 2-page letter to God explaining my whole situation, the case, and I put the DA name, I put the judge name in the letter. And you know, I told them to roll in the parts they were doing, which God knows these things. But He said, make your case and make it clear, make it plain. And so I laid out my case against the DA and the judge for what they were trying to do to me. You know, I took my petition before Him, and I know God's word says you either under man's law or you under God's law.
Amen.
And so I made a deal with God. I'm under God's law. I'm not under man's law. So man has no authority over me. Man has no authority, no power over me. God only has the say so and power over what happens with my life.
And when you in God, they can't condemn you as well.
No, they can't. And see, and in the midst of that prayer, I put some real power and I put some glue on that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
I gave God my soul in that moment.
My God.
You know, I told him, I said, you say what you have, no man can take, right? So right now in my conscious mind, I give you my soul. A free will. Free will, conscious mind. You know I'm sober. I'm in prison. I'm walking the track in prison. I wrote a letter. You know they do a mental evaluation. He ain't got to do a mental evaluation. He know me.
Right.
I went to my creator, that which is responsible for my being, for my essence, that which created me. I come to you right now. Asking for forgiveness, asking for help, asking you to help me see, give me. I come to you, nobody else. This ain't got nothing to do with man. I separate and cut man all the way up out the equation. Not no preacher, not no church, not no religion, not no nothing. No, me and my creator, that which is responsible for me being in this world. I come to you and let you know that these people done confuse me. They putting down all this and all that. I don't know right now. I don't know what to believe. I need your help. I need your guidance.
That's right.
I need you to come in right now and do this right this thing, because I'm finna destroy myself and what I got going on. I'm finna blow it. I'm blowing it. I need your help. If I gotta talk to the lion, tigers, and bears, so be it. I'm a willing vessel. Use me as you please. And God delivered me from prison. I was up the road, backing up my probation time, going back and forth to court for the new cases. He got me up out of there. All that, he fixed that.
Okay, cool.
And so, like I said, he came back and called on that debt a couple years later out there in prison when that young boy lost his life. And I saw that memorial out there.
Yeah.
And see that prayer and him delivering, he let me out. He seen, was I gonna be faithful? And
so
then he
much
put me in that assignment.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Let's see. I'm calling on that debt now. I got you out of prison. I took you from up under that life sentence. All right, now I'm ready. This is what I need you to do. So when he pulled my card that day, when he called my number, oh, I was ready. I put on my equipment, and you see me today. 9 years in the making. October 1st just passed, made 9 years. I've been standing in the white flag movement, ceasefire in the hood. You understand me? My last bid, I made the news in a high-speed chase. Up through the city, through Roger Williams Campground, the bottom. Ended up having the wreck, police wreck. You know what I'm saying? So it was the mindset and the environment and all the things that had been compiled on me that led me down that path. I got cornered and I tried to come out. Every opportunity, everywhere I look for an opportunity, for a chance, the door closed, I started asking people, all right, I want to prove something. I need you to do this application the way you'll do this application. You do what you do. You apply for this job, but put my name on it. Put my information on it. So this is how I was proving to family members that I'm trying and ain't nobody calling me. Put your number on there so they'll call you back, but when they call you back, you make sure you call me so I can be, or we do this interview or whatever they do. If you get a call back, let me know. You gonna surprise me because I want to show you ain't nobody giving me no chance. So I had my cousin, Bert, do an application. I had my sister do an application. I had my mama do an application. I had my uncle do an application. I had my mother-in-law to do an application. My daughter-in-law did an application. None of them got a call back. And I felt better then because I'm like, y'all can see now that y'all know, look, y'all, they ain't even
trying.
Right. Because when I was just doing it, I could be saying anything. I'm putting in an application. I ain't doing an application.
Right.
But if you doing an application for me, you know, so that was proof enough for me because I'm trying to prove to not just myself but to the world, to my family, like I'm trying.
I want better.
I'm trying. Help me. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm sinking, and I'm a man, so I'm not out here with my hand out begging nobody.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you know what I did to keep myself from getting back in the streets when I got out, to survive, to keep my head above water. I started going to the platinum center. I humbled myself down and said, you know what? Because I used to look down on them people.
They did that type of stuff.
And I all automatically judged them, prejudged them, not saying to them, but in my head, I'm like, damn, they must do drugs.
Well, a lot of people are calling it modern slavery. Does that feel
I
right?
was just about to say, that's slavery. That's slavery. You took away the whips, but you put the paperwork. Took away the masters and you put them in uniform. Same difference, same difference.
It kind of appears that there is a coordinated system in order to protect the labor that's created by the prison system.
Walk into a McDonald's in Alabama, and the worker flipping your McDouble could be an incarcerated person.
It's a sad situation, a way they getting rich off us.
The Alabama Department of Corrections farms out incarcerated people to work at hundreds of private companies and government agencies across the state.
McDonald's, Burger King, Golden Corral, Wendy's. They got a Wendy's contract right now. State Trooper's office.
They'll send everybody everywhere.
They'll send you everywhere. Yes, the parole office.
And even though ADOC trusts these incarcerated people to leave prison every day and work alongside the general public, many of them are still denied the chance at real freedom.
I work for y'all. But when I come up for parole, you deny me. Why would you deny me? Because I got free, because you're getting free service.
This is a story about corporations and the state of Alabama exploiting prison labor and the coercive policies they use to keep its citizens trapped in servitude.
It doesn't work. It's a terrible system.
If you're wondering how any of this is even legal, well, it might not be. That's what we went to Alabama to figure out. So yeah, could you just describe like how long you worked here and?
I was here 18 months. I ran their kitchen by myself from 8 to 5 every Tuesday through Thursday.
Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds like hard work.
It was.
Elizabeth Thomas was in the Alabama Work Release Program for 5 of her 15 years in prison. So they had a combination of incarcerated people and free world people?
Yes. Yes.
Did you feel like there was a difference how they treated?
Oh, most definitely. We work longer hours.
Make the work release work over or work extra days, don't want to give you off days. Like, no, I got to eat my health. I have to get rest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a machine. But that's how they look at you, like.
This is Quincy Sanders. During his nearly 17 years in prison, he worked at several restaurants, a lumber yard, and McDonald's.
Like, working a real job and trying to be incarcerated is a very hard experience. You have to be mind strong, really.
Alabama has one of the most overcrowded and deadly prison systems.
Yeah.
In my head, stereotype them folk from inside my own head, though. You get what I'm saying? But now this me prejudging these people, stereotyping these people unconsciously.
Now look at you now.
I'm saying to myself, now I ain't out here bashing them, but I look at when I see somebody over there at the platinum, oh, they at the platinum, they want trying to get some dope, or they on the dope, or they this, or they pole, or they this. Whatever my thoughts were, whatever, yeah, my assumptions, whatever. But who was I to think or whatever about them people if I wasn't gonna help them people?
Right.
So when I caught myself back against the wall, like, what can I do to not get back in the streets? Because I had already said I ain't finna do nothing. When I get out of prison, I ain't gonna do nothing that'll cause me to go back to prison. And trying to come home, I said I can't do nothing in here that's gonna keep me from getting out there. Right? So I stood my ground and I made sure I didn't get the disciplinaries and get rolled up, they caught with no phone, and I ain't not trying to sell drugs in prison and getting disciplinaries and have to do my whole bid, because that's what a lot of our young men are doing. They catching this small, get caught with a cell phone, and they doing their petty little things which are big in the system, getting disciplinary charges, going to disciplinary hearing, getting a good time taken instead of coming home in a year and a half. Now it's 2 years. You got a 5-year sentence, can come home in 18 months, but you keep getting disciplinary. Now you done did your whole 5-year sentence. But I was not finna do that to my family. I wasn't finna do that to myself. So I had to make a conscious change and a conscious effort and figure out what I was gonna do. Solutions. My problem, I could have sat there and wallowed in my problem. I kept wallowing in my problem, and that kept getting me in prison because I kept focusing on my problem. But when I came with a solution, what can I do to stay out? What I'm gonna do? So when my back was against the wall, ain't nothing happening. I remember the paper I got before I left prison that had resources on it. I can go to this church and they give out a bag of food. Dumas Wesley, they give out bags of food. This church give out bag of food on Tuesday. This place give out bag of food on Wednesday. This place give out bag of food on Thursday. This place give out on Friday. The bus costs $1.25. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna catch the city line. I got on the bus and I went to some of them places and I came home with bags of food.
Resources.
Come on now.
Full of canned good, macaroni, then he must a little piece of meat sometime, peanut butter, beans, all that stuff in these bags. Right, I got 2 weeks worth of food in this bag. So I said, okay, I need some meat to go with this. I went to the plasma center. They said they give me $45 one day and $25 another day. $70. Okay, I can go get me a pick 5. I'm one person. I can get me some toilet tissue from the dollar store, 4 rolls. I'm one person. I get some dishwashing liquid to put in whoever house I'm staying in so they help wash these dishes. I'm bringing some food in. See, people don't think like that. You just come live off somebody when you going through it. No, you got to bring something in, bring something to the table. So I grab little things like dishwashing liquid, toilet tissue. You know, them little small necessities. People appreciate that. So when you give them that, they don't mind you being there. They give you your space to be able to maneuver and don't be quick to want you. Can't wait till you gone. So I found and reached and dug into myself and said, okay, I'm finna do what I got to do to make sure I don't go back to prison. I don't get back into that life. I can't make no excuses for myself and end up back locked up because don't nobody care about my excuses. I noticed that judge didn't care about none one of them excuses I told him about that stuff that I was doing, trying to be better and couldn't get no opportunity. He said, contrary to all that, I'm revoking you for the remainder of your sentence. And I had them pull my heart out to him. If somebody told me that stuff, I'd let them live with me. You know, and he didn't care nothing about my excuses. So I tell people, hey man, them folks don't care about your excuses.
They
man.
don't.
They don't care about your excuses. They don't care about the problem. They want to know the solution.
Yeah, and then now I'm saying they know the excuses.
Right, they know the excuses.
So
They
made it.
They want to hear your solutions, and that's with life. Period. People want solutions. Our kids want solutions. Our kids are out here killing themselves because they don't have solutions for what to do next. Them posts are abandoned out there. It's so many posts abandoned in our communities. And ain't nobody stepping up because they ain't nobody assigned them to the post. You know, them posts that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and brothers in between, right here, local leaders, Robert Battles, Cash Money, David Edwards, these guys been fighting right here on our soil. These are elder community leaders that we have, Fred Richardson. And then I'm going to jump down a generation under them. We got you. We got Mario Yao. We got Chris Calhoun. You know what I'm saying?
Rose.
We got people that's out here that's holding it down, but it's so many more posts that are abandoned in our community because when we plant the seed, who there to water them when we walk out? We can go in the community and have an event. We can go over here and do a rally. We can go over here and do all that stuff. But that's only the planting of the seed. When we come into the community and put in some work, it's on the people in the community to water that seed. It's on the people in that community to weed that out, to nurture it, to do everything to make sure it sustains and be productive. And it produces something that's going to be of substance for our children, for our community, for our city. Right? If I plant that seed, that plant an orange seed in the ground, I got to wait on the fruit to come back. But if I don't live, I just can't, you here go a seed, an orange seed for you, man. Y'all gonna have y'all the orange tree, man. I'll see you again. I'm finna go out of town. I'm gonna be gone, man, for the next 3 years. You got to make sure that has life, man. And you can't sit around that first year sitting up groaning and complaining and they ain't got no oranges on here. It's a process. You got to have patience. It's time. And that seed
water, fertilizer.
And I was talking to Antonio Burns today, and I told him, I said, the fruit don't do what the root do. The root was there for a reason. He was talking about when he communicated with people. I said, man, don't break yourself down to make nobody understand you at a lower level because there's people at a higher level that need to hear what you're saying, and they ain't going to hear you speaking at a lower level. You was at the lower level. It's people that's going to catch what you're saying and going to filter that down there to them. When you go drop it off, so the root, when the root was put there, the root gonna do what the root do. It gonna bring that tree, and then the tree gonna do what the tree did, and it gonna spit out some leaves, and the leaves gonna do what the leaves do and have them branches, and they gonna come back to fruit, right? And the fruit gonna do something totally different from the root. Now the fruit has multiple purposes. The fruit could just be an orange and eating like that, or you could turn it to orange juice. You could turn it to an orange drink. You can turn it to orange water. And it's gonna be a filter. It's a filtered process. It's different, and it's gonna have different feelings that's gonna come behind each one. So when you talking to them people in the community, when you going over there and we plant the seed and we lead these people there to water to make sure that they grow, and if they don't do that, we can't be holding ourselves responsible and beat ourselves. We got to keep moving because that's them people there. So if we can't find a way to revitalize our communities, we have to build a whole nother community for the people who want better to be able to come into that environment and thrive. That's hence why I need the conflict resolution center. Okay, my problem is They ain't got boys and girl clubs. Enough of them open, and they don't have this program, and they don't have that program. These are the problems out here. Okay, what can I do about these problems all these people keep having? How can I come up with a conflict resolution center? Which this conflict resolution center would entail being a boys and girl club. It would be a resource center. It would be a multi-dimensional facility to fit the needs of people from all walks of life, from all ages of life, to be able to come into this place, this specific facility, to be able to resolve your problems, to be able to get educated, to be able to find, a career path. You get what I'm saying? In a place where your children can come and thrive and be safe, at the same time connecting with others from other communities in different neighborhoods. So when they are in these areas as they grow up, they are already familiar with people, because we have a neutral base where it's filtering everybody from all different areas. So our problem is we don't have this, that, the other. Okay, what is the solution? Do we continue to look for someone outside of us to build and create and bring to the table something that we need to do? So when we see others not getting on board with us, we can't get sidetracked or lose our focus or get discouraged and step out of the fight. We got to just reassemble and come up with another solution. Okay, this group of people are not getting on board. I can't worry about them. I got to go over here now. You reposition yourself, you reset yourself, you replace yourself, you put yourself in a whole nother environment, because you have the power to do so as an adult. A child doesn't have that. He doesn't have that knowledge. The youth don't have that knowledge. So with him watching you stepping into that role and not abandoning your post because ain't nobody else doing it, they don't care, ain't nobody else doing it, well, you know what, I give up. Now here go a whole spot that's not being tended to because you chose to abandon your post and didn't assign nobody else to be in that post or build nobody up or create nothing to be there of substance. So we got to be more adamant and mindful of the things that we put out here into society against the odds of those things that we know gonna be out there. We can't fight YouTube. That
Social media.
The stuff that YouTube
TikTok,
doing to our children. So yeah, social media. You know what I'm saying? Just regular TV.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. For the people who are out and, out in the communities, the people that's out trying to make a difference, what would you tell them? What would you tell them people?
The people who are out in the community that's trying to make it, I would tell them to not get discouraged by the lack of seeing others doing what they're trying to do. I would tell them to just stick to the course,
Be consistent.
Be consistent and keep doing what you're doing, because my growth and what merit that fit me wasn't based off nobody else. Remember I told you I couldn't get a job nowhere in the city, right? Nowhere, nobody didn't want to hire me. But I kept moving.
Right.
Y'all know when it comes to stop the violence efforts and doing stuff like this, you don't get tons and tons of support from the community.
As you should.
I did a march and I just said, and I didn't realize the significance of the day. October 6, 2019. Okay, just now, October 6th, I just had my event for my 9th year anniversary celebration, and I rolled out National Ceasefire Day for the first time. I'm working on getting that on the calendar right now. I done talked with Corey Penn about, the Councilman Penn, to see if he can help me.
District 1 Mobile.
Right. I talked with him, and he liked the concept and idea, and he said he willing to work with me and help me try to get it on the calendar, working at a local level. But I didn't realize the significance of October 6th to myself, my personal connection to October 6th. Outside of, okay, I'm just going to do my 9th year anniversary celebration, and I'm going to go ahead and present National Ceasefire Day to the city. That night after my event, I sat down and I got on social media, on Facebook, and I scrolled and ran into my memories. October 6, 2019, I did a march. I promoted that march for 3 to 4 weeks. I stopped a prayer for peace in the city. You know what I'm saying? A march and prayer for peace. I reshared it when I seen it, but it wowed me because nobody showed up for the march. Nobody showed up for the march. So I'm live. And I said, even if nobody else show up, I'm still gonna march. And I did that, right? And I had a nice event, because at the end of the march, I'm having an event right here at Rickaby Park. Get to the park packed. We turned up, kicked it hard. Nobody marched with me though, from DIP and Duval to government and back up to Rickaby Park. I marched that alone. That's on Facebook. But me saying that to say is, regardless to who comes on board or who participates in your vision, that's your vision.
Right. That's right.
It was my vision. Yeah, it was discouraging in its own way, but it was encouraging.
You still carried out the mission.
It was motivational. It gave me motivation to push and drive for myself even harder, for me and for God. Because I say, God, I know you put me on, you ain't put me in there for nothing. Right?
You gave me this vision.
Couldn't get a job, he gave me this vision. Couldn't get a job nowhere in the city. I'm painting for myself. I started painting, putting it on Facebook. People call me, boom, come paint this, boom, boom. That's how I'm making my money. All right. The city picked me up because of my efforts with the white flag movement, Ceasefire in the Hood. They didn't pick up none of them other people who I was looking for to be there for me.
Right.
Not the people who were there with me and left me. I kept going. Like I done had multiple people, members and people that just along these 9 years that were here and then they gone, and then they were here and then they were gone. I got a whole new team and they gone. And it's like I'm still in it. And I reaped the reward in the back end. God gave me an opportunity with the city of Mobile. I became a community facilitator dealing with youth violence prevention and at-risk youth, responding to gunshot victims out of USA Hospital, plugging them in the resources. Getting to sit down with their families and sit down with them and talk to them and help them resolve their conflicts before they come out of the hospital, going back out here into their community, back out in society. You get what I'm saying? So they can have something to think with. A lot of these guys and young ladies that I meet out here on these beds that have been shot, they have revenge on their mind upon me initially coming into their rooms. But by the time I come out of their rooms, their mind is at ease and they're willing to let that
That's a real gift.
situation be resolved and leave it at that. You know, a lot of times they won't even talk to the police and they'll talk to me and say, well, look, could you go talk to him? Tell them I ain't tripping. And I go back and I talk to these dudes out here. I pull up in Pritchard. I pull up down the bay. I pull up on DIP. Hey, look here, my boy. I'll let you right quick. And he knowing he a shooter. He don't know I know he a shooter.
Right.
But then once I start talking to him, he like, oh, he blowed that I know he shot, and then they get a little suspicious because it's like, okay, he sent you down here, get to thinking I'm for him and with him. But then when it's all over with, they realize I'm neutral and see who I'm with, and they be like, man, that respect, I love you, big brother, that's real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm good. Tell him I said that. And I be,
your job done.
you feel what I'm saying? So now, I done talked with this man. He is shot, laid up on the bed, shot up. You know what I'm saying? And he done told me who shot him and sent me to go talk to this dude and tell him he ain't coming back for him. He know what got to that, what led up to that. He taking accountability for his actions right here on his bed.
My God.
You feel what I'm saying? Knowing he put himself in this predicament. You know, and even sometimes those guys who haven't put themselves in that predicament, like, man, I ain't did nothing to them folk, man, he ain't wrong and woo. And look, let me talk to them. And I talk to them and calm them down and able to go back out there and let the other person know, you feel me, you wrong, home. You know you wrong, right? Man, woo, no, I don't want to hear that. So yeah, that's my assignment, man. That's what I'm on out here.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
and you really are taking chances, man, because they could be like, oh man, I'll blow your brains out.
I'm pretty sure you done ran into a few.
Nigga, who was you, nigga?
Honestly, I only had two negative encounters, and they weren't negative to a point to where it was some type of conflict. Even the conflict coming out of it was like, one time out by Gulf Village, I had a guy like, when I went through the white flag, I'm like, white flag movement, Ceasefire in the Hood, man. He was like, what's that? I'm like, stop the violence. And he was like, nah, nigga, I'm starting the violence. Go on away from around here, nigga. Yeah, go on away from around here. We ain't stopping no violence around here, home, but You know what I'm saying? But the crazy part is, I'm talking to a few of his partners first, and all of them, they was on board.
They with it.
Yeah.
And each time this how it happened. I'm talking to a group of guys in this neighborhood, and they loving and respecting, and then one individual come up, and he went left with it, but it didn't shake me none, because come on, home, man, I had guns in my face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I didn't stand in front of
And
judge.
then
Small
you
things
talking about
to the
nothing.
You know, which, you know, judge trying to give me life, man. You what you talking about?
Yeah. Who was you? What's
Yeah,
the room
man,
to the
come on,
goblin?
man, stop, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, I let him get that off, and I took it like he was like, hey, what up? Him saying what he said, I didn't take offense to that, because I understand everybody ain't for that.
Right.
Guess what? I was him. When I was 20, you would have pulled up on me depending on what I had going on. I would have told you, get on away from around here with that. So I get it. Bet, cool, man. You ain't there now, my nigga. You real. You the one who I need to talk to for real. You the one to connect with.
You
I'm gonna catch you away.
You the influencer.
I'm gonna catch you away from your crowd, and man, you gonna have a whole different conversation. You ain't gonna be nowhere near as acting as tough as you are around these guys that you're with. And that's how it plays out. You feel what I'm saying? Every now and then you have that one that got to be overhauled for the lot of them. I remember because I was him. I'm the one you being home. You
ain't showing me nothing.
I need to talk to you because I know what you're looking for. I know what you're looking for. I know what you need. And so when I catch you, me and you one-on-one, because I don't want you to feel no kind of way, because I know how you can be right here, right now.
Right.
I know you might take it there. You all right? You ain't did nothing wrong. You ain't offended me none. Not thus far.
Right.
You ain't put your hands on me.
Right.
You ain't got my life in danger.
Yeah. Where is
My
that?
family not in danger right now.
Yeah.
My family is not in danger. I don't have to do nothing to you, man. My family put up and say, me and you me getting in a conflict with you right now is not gonna be able to happen. My family not here. I ain't worried about me. I'm straight. I can handle what we get into, what we take it. And I feel like I can resolve it without us getting into a physical altercation.
Absolutely.
Even if it consists of us having to get in a physical altercation. We could be in here seeing like we arguing, blowing out. This finna go down. No, you know what? When I choose to say, you know what, I ain't finna let this go down. I'm finna pipe this down. I can pipe it down. Or I can let it keep escalating. When you control and master self, when you master self, you master the world. Because the world can only do to you what you allow it.
What you allow. That's true.
Once you have the power and the consciousness to know how to navigate through it, self-awareness, self-control is the key to being able to maneuver through this thing, because I can't allow you to trigger me. So that's why we need to implement critical thinking skills into our youth. Yeah. And until we can get some of these critical thinking skills into them, they're not going to receive the conflict resolution skills. So it's a give and it's a two-part thing.
But where you think we should start it? I mean, as far as the kids in like, is it at the schools? I mean,
it's a landslide across the board. You got it's home, school, and community. It's not a one-front battle.
Right.
We got to attack it from multiple directions, because the household could be laying out everything perfect. It could be, but then if you ain't in the right community, the child still suspect. I mean, vulnerable to everything that's going on in that community.
Especially at school.
I wasn't raised the way I end up being.
Right.
In my household, totally different from what I received and how I ended up being. I got a whooping every day. I was the kid got whooping. I got homeboy didn't get whoopings. I got a whooping every day because I was fighting, or if I ain't do right in school, if I talk back, I was the most memorable bad child in the world. Like manners when it come to my elders, women, they don't believe people when they say something bad about me. That dude got yes ma'am, no ma'am, please, may I, thank you. All of that is only thing that I'm gonna give a female in my elders. It was my peers. Or people who brought themselves into that environment and were participating into the games of the environment. You and our Monopoly board over here in the community, you coming over here trying to buy dope. All right, you part of this. Feel me? You was a regular 9 to 5, one of my uncle friends or my mama and them friends, I try to duck them. Right? But when I seen my peers, you came around here, you trying to score. All right, if I ain't got nothing to serve you with, I might just take that. You feel me?
Like that.
I ain't got no weed. You want a lot of weed. Who he for? Who you looking for? Who you with? Oh, the name that you say ain't got enough weight. I might take that. You feel me?
Right.
Who you over here for? Why you over here? So I might need that. Let me get that. That was part of the environment. But my mama would have known I was doing that. She gonna slap my head off.
Oh, Lord.
I could be trying, if I was to be robbing or trying to take something from somebody or doing anything illegal, my mom popped up, I had to get it in compliance. Right? So it's like,
Just
okay,
like-
you this gangster, but your mama can come around here and get on top of your head in the middle of this right here.
He ain't gonna be too
My
gangster.
son-
He ain't too gangster, you know. So.
Yeah, my son was 10. I think he was like 10, maybe 10 or 11. And I had just came home and he was selling weed from some dude down the street. And him and his friends was out there. He was the real weed man. You know, he had it.
The work.
What you say? This young. And when I came and I saw it, I got all of it. I took all of it. I took all the weed from him. He was so mad. And
10
I went
years
to-
old.
Yeah.
Serving. Wow.
And I went down to the dude, you know, him and his dad, they hung out. Him and the boy, the little boy hung out together, who gave it to him. And I told him, I said, man, if you don't want to see me, don't do this no more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was like, let me get that. I said, no. I ain't even give him the weed back. I went and gave it to somebody else. But that was wrong. You know, you got a 10-year-old kid out here selling weed. And
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, believe it or not.
True. Cause see, I was 10. When I was 10, 11 years old, I had my hand into weed in the weed pot. I wasn't hustling, but my peers, like my homeboy Travis, he had weed. He was around with weed. Actually, was 2 years older than me. So still, the fact is, these are my peers.
Right.
So what you're showing me at home, once I got outside, like I ain't seeing weed at home. I'm not able to have access to that. But then as soon as I get outside, my homeboy, same age as me, got weed. So now I'm exposed to weed and kids my age with weed, and now it's almost like, okay, should I have weed? And should I be sneaking with the weed because I'm trying to impress my friends and my peer group, right? Or even not just impressing them, fitting in.
Right.
I'm trying to fit in. This is my core group.
Validation.
This is my core group. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is who I feel I'm growing up with.
This is who I rock with.
This
So
who I
I
rock with.
got to show them, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Cause they punked them
I
out,
mean, dude.
and if I was over there with them, I'd be getting handled. They'd be trying to handle it. That group get handled. I ain't hanging in that group that get handled. I'm accepted over here because I'm
Peer
kind of
pressure.
I fight and they accept me over here, so I'm gonna stay over here. Cause every time I look up, they slap them upside the head. They take little stuff from them. So I'm not finna be that. So I'm adapting to my environment. I'm seeing what's going on out here.
Survival
So
of the fittest.
I'm gonna be predator or prey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be predator or prey. So that's what our young men having to deal with. You know
On
what
a
I'm saying?
daily
Like
basis in the
it's not a
community,
matter
yeah.
of all of them just wanting to be that way. Some of them like, I ain't got no. You know, you scared your way into having to do that. A lot of the fights I was spooked when I was little because I was fighting bigger kids. So think about it. If I wouldn't have got spooked, I probably wouldn't have had as many fights. You think I'm this bad, but you done shook me, so I done took off on you. Can't let them hit me first. Can't let them hit me first.
It's
So that's
crazy.
why I say the mouth. People say you can say what you want. True.
You should.
You're true. You can say what you want. You have a right to say what you want. You're entitled to say what you want. But its consequences come with that because in some people, just like you can say what you want, nobody shouldn't hit you. They don't have no right to put their hands on you. You right. But people will. People do. So what I would teach a person who like to run their mouth, just because you can, you shouldn't do that because it's somebody over here. He ain't supposed to put his hands on you, but he will. It's that type of person out there. So you got to be mindful of your mouth because it's somebody out here who will hit you. Well, they can't. They not supposed to, but they will. And they can. Because he has a right to hit you. Don't sound right, dude. He got a right to hit you by running your mouth to him. Because however he feel, his perception and his take on that.
So the good book say the tongue is more
It's not-
powerful than the sword.
It's not justified, but I understand. You said something very offensive. You said something offensive.
Very disrespectful.
Very disrespectful. Okay, you are giving credit if somebody don't do nothing to you for what you said out your mouth. But it's understandable. I ain't gonna justify that man for slapping you. But I ain't gonna justify you for saying what you said to him. you was wrong and he was wrong.
Right.
He ain't right and you ain't right. So how we wrong and we ain't right? And well, it just works out like that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's hard, but you got to be able to see it that way. So we got to constantly instill and teach our kids, our youth, not the adults. We got to be conscious and recognize things like that to be able to break down for our kids. So it's gonna start at home. How do we reach the people at home? Okay, we participate in the school things, the school activities. So if we can get to the school, we can reach the kids a little more for the households that we're not in, right? Okay, in the community, we got to set some stuff in place in communities, put people on board, on watch through these organizations we have, like mine for perfect example. I'm working on building a male mentor group where we can have people that could be on site, physically on site in different communities.
To like the Big Brother program.
I just took off my shirt, Big Brother, Big Sisters, Central Alabama, and put this on my way up here. But similar, but
More
way
aggressive.
more active, and we're more proactive and in the community. So
You you can catch our show every Monday at 11 a.m. on www.alabamahiphopradio.com. A new way to listen. The Fortified Live podcast. We about to wrap it up, man. I just want to ask you one more question, Veto. What kind of solutions can we have to stop this youth violence in our community?
Well, for one, we could try to put together collective efforts of meetings in different communities going forward among community leaders and those who want to be proactive in getting out into the community. We can put together some meetings where we can assign different people of their powers, the things that you have, like you good at podcasting or you good at this, that, the third, your skills and trades that you have. We need to compile all the skills and trades. We need to get some of these people certified through male mentorship or female mentorship programs. We need people to come to these meetings.
I know John Wing is what's that policeman name? John. I think he with the men.
Oh yeah. I know you're talking about Johnny Long or something.
John,
like that.
yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Young.
Okay.
But yeah, we need to put together meetings, come together with community leaders, so we can implement some of these conflict resolution training courses. We can try to host some critical thinking skills courses. We want to get people certified through male mentorship programs and female mentorship programs. So when we do want to go into the schools and places of that nature, we don't have to worry about policies and procedures and liability and not being able to get into these places because they don't want us to go in and share the information we have that could help these kids because we're not certified through governmental standards, right? So we want to get ourselves certified with different trades and skills such as, like I said, the male mentorship programs. We need to find those and be able to bring these
troubled youth
and bring these resources back into our communities and share them abroad. But in the meantime, we just got to be proactive and keeping our eyes out when we see youth in different areas of the city. Get out and don't be afraid to approach them and talk to them and meet them where they're at. Find out their needs and see what it is that you can do to help them. You get what I'm saying? And try to show them a way forward because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for what to do next. When you were 17, 18, 19 years old, you were trying to figure out life. You wanted somebody to help show
your
you,
brain still
help guide you
developing.
what to do next. So they're looking for their what to do next. And until somebody helps give them their what to do next, they're going to constantly just be running around idle, doing what they can, trying to figure out which way to go or what to do. They're going to try to create things, and in the process of them creating and going through their course corrects, instead of us meeting them head on and trying to help show them and lead them to that path of success.
Well, there's two things that older people say. Out of mind is a devil's playground, and it's easy to get in trouble and hard to get out of.
Right.
So you gotta keep that in mind when you tell your kids that. Just two, simple quotes. Vito, you got any last words, man, before we get up out of here?
Oh man, if I could say anything out of the last words, it would be don't continue to just sit around and wait on someone from outside to come into our community to be the change, to be the difference, to make something happen for us.
That's right.
You know, you got to be that person. All of us got to be that person. We got to come together. It's going to take us all. No one individual, no one entity, no one organization is going to help us get out of what we're going through, seeing the violence that's plaguing our communities and the destroying of our youth. So become proactive, get out here, don't be selfish, and be the change. So.
Well, we thank you, Veto, man, for coming through, brother. You know what I'm saying? White Flag Movement, ceasefire in the hood. Shout out to my co-host, Bama Rose. You know what I'm saying? I am your host, J-45, Mr. Keith to the City, everything pretty, the host of the Gulf Coast, the Alabama hippie east of the muddy, mighty Mississippi. We out, man, 45 Live, check us out. Support the movement. I got the merch, you know what I'm saying? $20 a hat, truck of hats. I got the shirts for the men, J-45 Empire, Mid-45 Empire. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's a movement, y'all. We out of here. Hammer time. Bow!